my name is Sarah and I'm based on the far south coast of New South Wales in Australia in a little country town called Maruya, right on the beach, and I live in a rural setting. I bought myself a bush block, so I've got lovely nurturing nature and birds and flowers around me to work on my health issues and my breathing, which I've discovered doing a course with Emma. So I've been singing seriously for about 13 years now. I've gone back to music after a long career and a lot of illness. And 8 years ago, I started teaching singing. And I've noticed in all of my students, they could be 5 years old through to 75 years old. If I say, let's breathe, they go, and I think, oh, okay. And I discovered that even young children had forgotten how to breathe correctly. So my singing teacher had taught me how to use the breath for singing. But a lot of teachers, if they've come from the old classical tradition, give you very obscure ideas around what breath is. They say, breathe from your diaphragm or use diaphragmatic breathing. And I'd think, oh, what does that mean? How do I actually do that? So over the last 8 years of observing that confusion with breath for myself and seeing what my students were doing, I've set about to try and work out how best to resolve this obscure breathing thing in my own singing voice. So leading up to this year, I've had quite a few years of serious health. I have a major bowel disease that I've had all of my life. I have a triple S scoliosis in my neck and in my lower back, and a facial asymmetry problem, which has caused problems in my TMJ joint. So I'll wear a splint. For about 25 years, I've had headaches every single day. I have fibromyalgia. I had chronic fatigue syndrome when I was 22, which is almost 40 years ago. And piecing all that together with my very serious bowel disease and then major surgeries every 3 years, regular hospitalizations with all of that, I really felt like my central nervous system was in this zzz, like a buzzing sort of a mode. So trying to work out in the last few years how I could fix that and what I could do, I've done the obvious things like learn about meditation, being in the moment, breathing in the moment, yoga. I tried yoga. I've done osteopathy. I've used chiropractors. I've done massage, every single thing, and herbal medicine, acupuncture, everything that you would possibly try and explore to help you have good health. Oh, and food as medicine. I've been right into nutritional aspect of my health, walking, swimming, everything you could possibly do holistically. But the thing that I still have had left in the last few years is this increasing pain in my neck and my back. So I didn't discover Emma's beautiful breathing course because of my pain in my neck and back. I was thinking, how can I understand breathing for singing? So I was having a walk in the forest up behind my house here one day with my earphones in, and I listened to a podcast in which Emma was interviewed by an Australian singing teacher. She has a PhD, so I admire her. So I listened to her, and Emma was talking really enthusiastically and blah, blah, blah. I thought, oh, she talks really fast, but she's passionate and excited about this topic. And I thought, I respect this singing teacher enough to know that if she's interviewed Emma, there must be something in it. So when I got home from my walk, I looked Emma up on the internet, and up came all these words about breathing and pain and sleep. And I thought, oh, I wonder if there's a connection between breathing and my neck and back pain. But I sat on it for a few months, and then I had surgery in September, and I had weeks sitting in my chair rehabilitating. So I thought, all right, I must go and look up this Emma Ferris in New Zealand and look a bit further into what she has to say. And I was hesitant for a few weeks to press the yes, I'll pay now, start the course button, because I don't earn much money and I wasn't earning anything while I was sick. And it always has to be cost versus the outcome for me. So there's a lot of courses on the internet, and especially since we've had COVID in the world, you can do almost anything on the internet. So I have to be very careful with my money. So I had to think about it. So I reread everything that Emma was saying on the website, looked at other things and pieced it together. And one day I was sitting in my chair and I was breathing and I thought, oh my gosh, I feel like I can't get enough oxygen. Is this an anxiety panic attack thing? Is it because I've had abdominal surgery? Probably a bit of both. Get a breath. And then I was conscious I was breathing in my upper chest. And I thought, Sarah, you know not to do this. You know to use lower belly breathing and use your intercostal muscles. You know this from singing. Why are you doing this while you're sitting still? So if I hadn't had my surgery, I wouldn't have had all that time sitting in my chair to notice my breathing in my daily life. I'd noticed it in singing and in students, and I do it correctly when I'm singing, but I hadn't noticed how I was breathing in my everyday life, standing at the sink, washing up, playing old memories, trouble with one of my children, blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's a headache, there's neck pain. So I thought, look, what Emma is asking for in terms of a fee for the 30-day course is the equivalent for 2 chiropractic sessions for me. And it was the equivalent of about 5 good bottles of red wine. And I thought, what am I doing at night? Oh, if I've got a headache, I take 2 Panadol Osteo and 1 or maybe 2 glasses of red wine. And I thought, right, I've got to give it a go because I'll never know till I give it a go. Well, honestly, within the first 3 weeks and then the online Zoom class with Emma and a few other students who were joining the class at the same time as me, my mind went, wow, this is going to be the answer for me. I just knew in those first few weeks. And when Emma saw me in that first time, she told me what was happening, and all she saw was like here to here. And she said, oh, your what was it, the muscles she saw here were like guitar strings, I think she said. And I thought, ding, yes, that's true. So I thought, wow. And she said to me, you're in the freeze mode. And I immediately wanted to burst into tears because I knew exactly what she was saying. And I had no idea there was a connection with breath, with all of this that was going on here. Why I wanted to burst into tears is because a few months ago, I disclosed to my wonderful psychologist that I had a very serious childhood trauma that was unresolved from when I was 8. You can imagine whatever you want to imagine, and you'd probably be right. And I asked my psychologist, could this be affecting my health? Could this be why I have fibromyalgia and bowel disease and, headaches? And she said, yes. So I went into this full-blown anxiety, panic, the first time I'd ever experienced a dissociated state, which I then went to hear Emma talk about in one of the days in the 30-day course. And I'd never experienced that sort of crisis before. And in my generation, I was born in 1960, you didn't talk about mental health or depression or anxiety. My grandmother was given shock treatment for having depression. So we zipped our mouths. So if we had anything terrible happen to us when we were kids in the 60s and 70s, we just didn't talk about it. So up this came. Emma said, you're in the freeze mode, and I knew exactly what she meant. So my central nervous system was fight, flight, freeze. I'd understood that because I've been reading about that this year. And I thought, wow, she's seen it in my neck muscles. Wow. So, and Emma's teaching me about breathing. So she's seen it in my neck. So there must be some connection with the pain I have in my neck, the constant rehabilitation I have to do around my larynx for singing, the pain in my upper back. There has to be a link. So I just was excited every morning to get out of bed as early as I could, make my little tray of tea and sit down and open my laptop I'd see what was on day 13, day 14, day 15, and up would pop Emma. And what I especially loved about it, I'm a high achiever. I'm a driven woman. I've done a lot of studies. I've gone to university. I've had 4 big careers. I really appreciate it when someone explains something to me simply and without any fluff. So straight to the point. Hello, this is day 17. Today we're going to look at whatever the topic was, and straight into it without any banter with somebody else or telling stories, or it's a lovely day, which you often hear on this kind of thing on the internet. So Emma goes straight to the point, one idea for a lesson, one idea in a really short, it could be 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Sometimes the sessions were a bit longer if she was demonstrating with a colleague how to do certain Pilates exercises for the neck and the back. Sometimes they're a bit longer, but I could get one grab out of a lesson in less than 5 minutes, download the notes, which were really comprehensive. So the notes were much more explorative of that simple idea that Emma would tease out during the video. I'd read over the notes and I could just take that one thought on what she was teaching us about in my whole day. And then if I was washing up or I was in the garden or feeding the chooks or pulling a weed, I could go, oh, I learned about X today. And then I'd check in on my breathing. And then I'd say, oh, it's 10:30, time for my 20 minutes lying down and practicing my chillaxing today. So Emma was recommending that we try 2 10-minute sessions. I was doing 2 and 20-minute sessions, and sometimes I get up and 40 minutes has gone by and I go, wow. So from the self-care perspective, I've allowed myself to stop twice a day and take notice of my breathing. I've had an instant improvement in my levels of pain in my neck and back. And most miraculously, and sleep. But most miraculously, when I got to day 30, I promised myself I would go and do some serious vocal work. I went to my mirror next to my piano, turned on a backing track and started singing. And I looked at in my mirror and I could see that I was engaging some muscles in the neck. And when I breathed, I could see it happening. And I thought, oh, what did you learn over 30 days? Right. Let's get back into the practice one of the breathing exercises that Emma taught me. Feel my intercostal muscles moving, take a few breaths, and then I'd sing that phrase again. And I would be able to stop that muscular sort of tension happening in here. The more I looked at myself in the mirror, and I tell my students to look at themselves in the mirror. So have I been a good teacher? I don't know. So I watched myself and thought, wow. When I tuned into that, my singing voice has just improved. Like, I'm so surprised. And I've only been able to sing in the last few weeks because of my abdominal surgery. I had to wait a good few months to rehabilitate my breathing, and I had to really work my diaphragm for my lower belly breathing because everything was stiff because I had a very big cut, a vertical cut. Everything was sore, but I just feel excited, and I feel like this 30-day course I did with Emma is like my recovery. It's because everything's come together. Recovery from trauma that I'm working on with my psychologist, recovery from all the stuff that's happened in my life. And, you know, when we all get to our 60s, no matter what kind of a life we've had stuff. Relationship things, stuff with children or not with children, or work or career pressures, financial trouble. Even if life's been wonderfully good, you get to my age and there's still stuff, and it makes our body tense. And I've carried it in my skeleton, in my biology, all of my life. Now, I could have sat here and cried. Well, I sort of did after that first session with Emma. What a wasted life. Oh, but turn it around and flip it. And I read a Mel Robbins book too, and she she encourages you to flip things around. And I thought, okay, I'll flip that around. It's not a wasted life. My life to here has been this. My life from today here is this. So I sort of see now I've got some optimism. And I know this is very deep because it's a 30-day breathing course, and it's a simple course. It's nothing complex, doesn't go into fundamental anatomy. I can do that myself. I can study that myself. It's just something to get you thinking. So for me, I feel like I can move forward positively in my life. And I'm just so glad that Emma put this course together. I just think the simple ideas and the simple videos was just enough for me to take it forward, but I've had to do the practice. So if I hadn't been doing the 2 10-minute practices a day and every day, I know I wouldn't be talking so positively about the outcome for me. And I find just working with people all the time in teaching piano and singing, a whole week will go by and they come back to lesson, they've paid me for the lesson and they haven't done a scrap of practice. It's like, why would you spend money if you don't practice? Like, and I sometimes move those students on because even though I'm on a low income, I don't want to make money if someone's not going to actually do the work. So I know you've got to do the work. So Emma says in this course, 6 to 8 weeks is how long it takes to begin to reset the brain. And I know that from learning my own skills. I know that. So I know I'm still in that 6 to 8 week period, but I'm not going to get to 8 weeks and go, yay, I fixed my breathing, I'm fine now. You need to keep working on the neurological pathways of your brain. And the more I read about the neuroplasticity of the brain, the more I get that. So Emma's course has given me this great start. If I keep up the practice, if I keep up the work, keep into that habit, and if I miss a day, go, that's okay, I'll be there tomorrow, but I don't want to miss more than 2 days, then I know that going through this decade of my 60s, I'll have a better decade. I'm really, for 2022, I'll be interested to see how much good health I can restore and how much more I can continue to minimize pain and to be able to stay on my land here, to tend my garden, to look after myself going into older age with good breath, which supports me. Our breath is our fundamental function. Without breath, we're dead. But also we can't speak, we can't sing. We should all sing. We should all have good, confident voices to speak with going through into our 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s. And that has to rest on the breath as the fundamental foundation. That's how I see it. So this is my recovery, having done this wonderful little course with Emma.